believe we know what little kids are doing. We believe we know when little boys cry, why they cry. I carry this picture around with me. It sits all over the house. You've got them in your house somewhere. You hold on to pictures and you think about them, and it reminds you of something that happened in your past. You can't really see it, but for whatever it's worth, it's my dad. And I'm standing between his legs. And I was looking at the picture and looking at the picture, and the top of my hair's gone. And I was going, oh my gosh, I know this story. I know what this story's about. I had two sets of grandparents. My big granny lived in Pahokee, Florida, down on Lake Okeechobee. The Fussels lived up in South Georgia, somewhere halfway between Waycross and Douglas, or Waycross and Pearson and Tifton. As a little boy, it was just where I went in the car. We went down to Big Granny's house. I had my Easter outfit on, and we were going to hunt Easter eggs in the yard. So when we got there, we had to spend the night, and the next morning they were going to hide eggs. Now, sometimes when you're crying, people do know why. Like when I turned over Granny's display case of her ceramic salt and pepper shakers. Like when Grandpa Gary decided that he was going to lubricate the electric motor of the fan on the front porch and it caught fire. And while I was hunting Easter eggs, that I fell down and was face to face with one of those giant banana spiders. Now sometimes people do know when you're crying, and why. Granny, I think, had decided she'd had about enough of me and the rest. And she thought it was a great idea to send us to the show. So off we went to the Pahokee Theater, and I could see the front door. I knew this is where we were going to stop. And before the car came to a standstill, I opened the car door and jumped out. Well, it just so happened, this little black boy on a bicycle also was using the sidewalk. And all I remember next was the usher in the theater picking me up off of the sidewalk, running me into the theater, and leans me over the sink to try to help me out. Now, I didn't really know what had happened yet, but there was sure a lot of blood in the sink. Well, anybody that's had a forehead cut knows that you will bleed awfully bad. Now, I hadn't really started crying yet. As we're coming back out and out through the lobby, first one person and another one to hug me and hold me and tell me how much they wanted me to be better. Well, that was fun, and I had a good time, but things, you know, somebody needed to stop the bleeding. As I get outside, I turn around and look, and there's the little guy on the bicycle. Looked like he was in so much trouble. Oh, I was starting to get nervous. Now, by the time I got to the car, I realized, here comes Big Granny, here comes my mama, here comes that little boy's mama, and I just started bawling, crying. Now, nobody really understood. It had nothing to do with my head being busted, but I saw how much trouble he was getting in. I knew I was fixing to get in trouble for jumping out right in front of him on that sidewalk. You don't know why little boys cry all the time. Now, that was Easter. A couple months later, long enough for this to almost heal, primary teacher at church was making little hats and was showing us how to do it out of newspapers. That was all pretty exciting. And she made a practice one to show us how you could make it really pretty. And she used red crepe paper and gold trim. Well, because I was special and had these staples in my head instead of stitches, she decided I needed the hat. So I got the fancy hat to take home with me. About 2 weeks later, we're up in South Georgia now instead of Pahokee, and we're visiting with all the family up there. I got my hat, I'm all excited. They let me wear my Easter outfit so I could look real cool. And I'm looking at it going, yep, that was my Easter outfit, okay? I do remember this story right the way it was supposed to. Now my dad owned some land up there, and his cousin Orman worked the fields. So they were going to go out and check the fields and walk across it. And Orman had a mule. Orman put me on top of the mule. Now I'm this big, I'm standing between Daddy's legs. I did not fit on the mule. I fit across the mule. And Orman goes, now no matter what you do, hold on to his hair. He'll know you're in control. Okay. I got a hold of his hair, and we're moseying across that field. Now, if any of you have been around mules, you'll know mules, being the way mules are, they can walk all day long, half asleep. They just walk along. Well, I wasn't paying attention. Daddy and Orman weren't paying attention. They were talking about the field, and mule's head kept getting lower and lower and lower. Orman had not put the bridle on. He had just wrapped it over him. Mule just walked along anyway. The bridle fell off his head. Mule looked up, ears perked up, off he ran. Okay, now I'm flapping in the breeze with my little legs, holding on. Now Mule didn't know I was really in control, but he just kept running. I was doing pretty good. I was having a good time. This book is exciting. My hat flew off. I turned around to look in the back, what was going on, because my hat fell off. All I saw was arms, elbows, and knees running after us. Mule's still running. He didn't care. Now, up ahead, because this was a long way, across this huge field, I could see the woods coming. As we got closer, I could see the rusted barbed wire fence. Then I could see the blackberry bushes on that fence. Okay, this is going to be exciting. Now, is he going to jump? What's going to happen? I don't know. I'm 4 going on 5. I don't know. The mule, being the way mules are, well, I'm not going to jump over that fence. He turned sideways and stopped. Now, there's certain things about physics and dynamics that says that the other objects around might continue to go that way. So the mule stopped, over the fence I went. Now, it was really strange. I landed in a pile of sand. So I'm sitting there, and my eyes started crying and crying. Now, I'd never seen Daddy do it before, but he hurdled the fence and the blackberry bushes. Jumped, grabbed down, threw me and back across the fence to Orman. Now they're all brushing me off, shaking me down. They're looking for why I was crying. Now, grown-ups not always knowing why little boys cry. I can tell you right now, I was crying because I lost my hat. By the time Daddy had figured out why I was really crying, and there was nothing wrong with what broke, my head was good, the staples were still in. He goes, Dave, I had your hat right here. It was sitting right by the fence. He had thrown it down when he hurdled the fence. Okay, now we're going to be all better. Finally, we go to Uncle Ellie's house. Uncle Ellie takes a look at my head and decides he's going to take care of those staples. Now, I remember in the hospital, there was mint breath-smelling doctors, and there was soft, sweet nurses always hugging me, and orange juice that would put me to sleep. But now Uncle L.E., the man that just showed me how to suey pigs out of the woods, the same man that showed me how to shuck corn and break it up for the chickens, and then wrung a chicken's neck for dinner, that man is going to take care of my staples. I was doing just fine, but I can tell you that little boys sometimes cry, and everybody knows about it, because when he turned around from digging around in his toolbox, And he pulled these out. I was pretty sure